Welcome back. Just Ask George here. Here with George Lovato. I'm David Wolf. George, welcome back.
The head dude and my co-dude, David Wolf.
Co-dude Firewolf, how are you?
Firewolf, I really like that. Is a great nickname because you are on fire.
I'm trying
in
to
business
I'm
development.
doing my
right now.
my own thing here.
Just you're like a full metal jacket. You know, you're just loaded right now.
What a movie
loaded.
that was.
Oh, man, was that great.
Well, is there money out there, George Lovato? Yes, there's money out there. Today we're going to talk about when a commitment is not a commitment. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. We're going to
Part two.
Part two. And we're going to peel this down, layers of the, you like to say the onion.
Right.
Of what's behind the concept of commitment. Let's start with the basic, lay the groundwork for this segment. We have this thing called a real commitment. There's a history and a definition around what is a real commitment.
Well,
George.
let's do just a short review on a blog that we put out some time back that was actually very popular, and it's very popular with all the affiliates using it because, and I'm seeing a tremendous proliferation right now of these not so real commitment letters. But we know that a commitment is, first of all, it's people behind a commitment, and it's an institution. And it's an institution with capacity. And sometimes those people in the institution change their minds after they issue a commitment letter. So sometimes there's some real kind of lightly buried language in their commitment letter, which gives them the marketing out clause or the out clause related to condition of the bank, which way the wind's blowing, basically. Or they may, just suddenly not like the person and they want to be able to pull the ripcord and get out of it. As I said, I can't tell you the number of times I have seen a bank, an institution, a banker pull away from a commitment letter and leave me where I may have already put a financing tool in place temporarily, pull away from it and not close the deal. It happens all the time.
Okay.
So it's not unusual, but
okay.
The majority of the time when an institution issues a commitment letter, they're real and they stick with them and they'll close them. But just so that the public knows, they have the potential not to close.
Okay. Even when they're real,
even when they're real.
That's baked into the agreement.
Exactly. Now, recently, and I mean, this week alone, I saw 6. Since probably the middle of last year, I've probably seen several dozen of these, and I'll get a call from a prospect or an affiliate. We'll bring the prospect in. They'll say, hey, we want to have a conference call. This is a post-our process where we issue the MOU, and we'll have the conference call, and the prospect will say, and I've got this commitment letter, and it's been, I've seen it as a result of you sending me or the affiliate sending me the information in advance.
And is the client using it or the prospect using it as a tool to try to negotiate?
I've got part of the money done, or I just need this part of the financing done because I got a commitment letter here for whatever. Well,
okay.
Then we do a little due diligence on the entity that has issued the commitment letter, and we've read the commitment letter. Now, there's the first key that it's bogus. It just doesn't read, walk, or talk, or even smell like a duck. I mean, it's poorly written. It doesn't carry the legalese that they normally do. I mean, it's written by a pedestrian somewhere in his home office, and I can generate $5, $10, $15, $20, $25,000. If this guy's needs a commitment letter, I'll get him a commitment letter, and I'll come up with letterhead, and I'll incorporate a company, and I'll...
Yeah, so effectively, they're paying for this letter. That becomes the end game.
Right.
Never mind actually needing the capital formation.
And so the first trigger is that it just is not... it doesn't read like a commitment letter.
And
so there's trigger one.
From experience, you just know what the bones
30
are.
years of reading them.
All right. Are they typically very long documents?
And having been involved in issuing them.
I want to know, does size matter? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What length can we expect?
As many hairs as I have on my head. I mean, I've seen 3-paragraph letters all the way to 10-page deals.
And the quality is not necessarily correlated to the quantity.
No.
Okay, fine.
No.
I just wanted to get that out there. Okay.
So, first key, poorly written. Second key, due diligence on the entity. You find that it isn't a bank. It's not a licensed lender or a semi-regulated lender.
Okay.
It might be a mortgage broker in an office of a mortgage brokerage house who has, this is one I saw recently, that issued a letter, and it was a brokerage house. There's no capital in that house. They don't do table funding. They have no wherewithal to close that deal. Another one I saw was a newly incorporated LLC, and I think I mentioned this to you. I called the number on the letter. There was a telephone number there, and I got an executive office, and I got the secretary who answers the phone for probably 10, 12 other businesses on that floor.
It's a shared executive suite.
Yeah, and this gal was very engaging and very friendly, and I talked like I knew this guy from way back, and she said, well, we're so excited to have him here, and he's really trying to make it on his own. And I said, well, does he come from a lending background? Oh, no, he managed a fast food operation
you
before.
Mentioned this.
And I said, well, that's great. How did he get in finance? She says, that's what's so neat about a guy starting a new business and really trying to make it on his own. He's out there right now trying to find people that would be interested in looking at the transactions. And I said, really, isn't that neat? She goes, oh, it's so wonderful. We're so proud of him. And we were this is no joke, we're so proud, and we told him how good he looked in his thrift store suit that he just bought.
Oh, good.
And it really didn't look like a thrift store suit. It looked like a brand new suit to us. And we told him that.
You're a heck of a fisherman, George Lavelle.
Oh, my God.
That's beautiful. Well, here, all right, so this is a front. It's almost like we're in the business of issuing commitment letters.
I think he collected $15,000 to issue that letter to this other company, and they showed me the commitment letter, and then, of course, they need show money,
Yeah, and let's talk about, out there, if you're in the plethora of brokerage, finance brokering, which is a very different business.
This drives me insane.
The lexicon, and I used that word this morning with a prospect, the lexicon of brokers, including there's upfront fees, there's this. Let's talk about, what did you see there?
Well, it's sort of an about face in that they said, I need $4.5 million of show money for a $40 million deal. And I said, well, show money. So they sent me this document that said that in order for this commitment, which was bogus, to proceed, that they needed $4.5 million in escrow that represented $4.5 million of equity in the project, committed to the project, blah, 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 blah. And when I pointed that out, I said, look, this show money thing isn't show money. The way this escrow agreement reads, it clearly states that this is real cash in the deal. Oh, no, it can be returned at any time. I said, well, show me where it says that in the escrow document. And I said, and I'll eat my hat, any one of which say BH Capital on them, of course. And of course, they couldn't find the line. Oh, I guess they didn't put that in. I said, it's not there. And that money sits in a hard escrow account, out of your control, out of our control.
There are the signatories on it, nobody else, so to speak.
So they were a little surprised and shocked at that. And then I pointed out a few wonderful things, poorly written language in the commitment letter. Yeah. And then I sent them the blog on when a commitment name may not be a commitment. And I shared with them one brief story. And I said, look, just do your due diligence. We already have, and we know that this entity can't fulfill their obligation on this commitment. Yeah. But hold on. Right. So then the response was, well, we know they're a broker. I said, well, then a broker, most of all, should not be issuing a commitment letter. I said, and in some states, mortgage brokers are prohibited. It's illegal for them to issue commercial commitments. There's even limitations on their commitments on their, and this was a residential mortgage broker. And
collecting fees.
Yeah, collecting fees. And there's even prohibitions on and limitations on what they can do in issuing a commitment letter on a residential mortgage, let alone a $40 million deal.
Sure. I
said, so, you really need to do your due diligence. And, they were just, but J.P. Morgan's going to buy these bonds. I said, oh, now it's a bonding deal. Now it's not a loan. Well, this escrow agreement says, and the commitment letter says nothing about bonding. Well, they told us that they've got J.P. Morgan already lined up to buy the bonds. I said, okay. I said, then you should be talking to the guy at J.P. Morgan, not these guys. That's Morgan's business. I said, it's not some broker. I said, and I can darn well guarantee you that J.P. Morgan is not taking a broker deal in, especially something of this size. This is a serious deal if it's $40 million. I said, this is a direct deal. I said, and bonding is a whole different. Well, they assure us they've done it before. I said, then let them show you the tombstones of the deals that they've done.
And I got a question about how does this show money or this whatever it is percentage of equity, so-called equity, how does that relate to the bonding?
That's the whole point. It was again. It's a discombobulated. We're saying we're doing this, but we're giving you something in writing that makes no sense. It's unrelated to what we represent. Blah, blah,
that was my dumb question of the day, but the truth is the whole thing's dumb.
Yeah, the whole thing's dumb.
All right. So a lot of elements to a bogus commitment. Mm-hmm. We'll point to the blog with there'll be more detail around all this and what folks should look for if they're encountering these phenomenons. Let's talk about LOIs. Letters of intent. What should we look for, not look for?
Letters of intent or letters of interest are a very common tool to sort of outline what an institution's intent is, what they understand, and how they intend to structure around that request. Mm-hmm. So, again, not everybody can issue an LOI. You have to have some financial wherewithal. But let's get to our system, what we do.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Sure.
And this sort of, knocks out all the white noise of the bogus letters and the LOIs that are issued by non-entities.
Right.
Let's call them non-entities, because that's what they are.
We want you to see the way it should look in the pristine, as close to perfection kind of process.
Exactly. What we do at BH Capital is we issue an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, and it does a couple things. It sets forth what we understand from the client that they're looking for, and it sets forth our understanding of what we believe the structure should be based on our relationships with all our participants. Okay? So, in addition, it sets forth the terms and conditions of how we get engaged. So everything's out on the table. The whys and wherefores of the deal, their understanding, our understanding, how they engage us, and how we go forward. Then from that MOU, we get to the point where we have a conference call. They have already submitted minimal documentation for our review.
Yeah.
They send it to you. You send it to us. We discuss it.
Yes.
We kick it around. We decide whether we're even going to issue an MOU. And if we do issue an MOU, then they have a certain number of days, 3 days, to respond. They go into a conference call with me and you or another affiliate and me and the prospect.
And I should interject that we put a time on this because we believe that we want clients that are decisive and point certain about their direction and intent to engage or not engage.
Or not engage. And from that, then everybody says, okay, I want to hire BH Capital. I want to engage BH Capital, and BH Capital likes this client, likes the transaction, people before projects. We've got to like the people. And then we issue our standard Corporate Finance Consulting Agreement, our CFCA, which is the formal document that engages us to the client and the client to us, and then we start the process. We issue, from that point, we issue a document request. Then we take them through a soft underwriting process. And we have a target in mind of what the structure of this deal and who the participants are going to be already.
You've already as
We're
you
already
like to
there.
say, you've put your
Yeah.
foot in the pool, the toe in the pool. You know how you're going to form the capital by the time we're at a CFCA. In general sense.
Between the CFCA and the soft underwriting process, and then it goes to white paper. Then the participants give their feedback, and then it goes to commitment at that point in time.
Okay.
That's how it's done. That's the way it should be done. There's plenty of time for taking a breath and breathing and understanding the process and learning the process, and also being able to tweak and modify the deal. So, maybe the elements in the business have changed, or the opportunity needs to be tweaked a little bit. So we get there. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bingo financing number of steps, and away you go. But whenever you see show money, bogus commitment letter, bogus LOI from entities that have no history and no capacity to perform, walk away.
There it is. The way the pristine process should look. 30 years of experience informing how that looks. BH Capital
You demand.
LTD.com is the place to get more information. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on the subject of when a commitment is not a commitment, parentheses, or is a commitment.
And I'll commit to buy you lunch after this show.
Absolutely. I'm always in. I will work for food, ladies and gentlemen, business owners at large. Thanks for joining us. Get more information at bhcapital.ltd.com. George, we'll see you next
time. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Great show.
Right.
Bye-bye.